Hey everyone, welcome back to another army guide for Warhammer 40k, a universe so dark that even your emotions want to kill you. Last time we focused on my least favorite chapter, the Blood Angels, an army who wants to get into melee combat as fast as possible. However, today we are focused on an army that I wouldn't recommend to new players, due to how complicated it can get. The Daemons of Chaos, a strange horde army that fits 4 different strategies into its army design. Now again, I only recommend getting into Daemons as maybe your second or third army, as they can be a bit of a pain trying to build armies for. But, let's get into the lore.
Because God has cursed me for my hubris, and my work is never finished.
The Warp, where all demons and their gods reside, is the realm where our emotions, our dreams, concepts, and ideas are made real and treated very literally. A realm whose concept can be anything we really want it to be. This realm used to be peaceful, until a bunch of angry metal skeletons decided that genociding some stupid floating toads was the best idea. And the Universal War really messed up the balanced ocean that was the Warp. The event, known as the War in Heaven, had caused so much horror, negativity, and death that the Warp was forever changed to reflect the absolute nightmare of reality. Over time, 4 gods would rise to be the most powerful beings in the Warp. But, let's go over each god one at a time.
But then why would you say something? Because I hate you!
Khorne is the god of war, skulls and blood. His realm is made of the skulls of those who died in war, along with boiling rivers of blood. His daemons endlessly hunger for battle and slaughter, as is the nature of their master. To worship Khorne in a cathedral or church is a disgrace. His temple is the battlefield, his hymns the clashing of blades and the roar of gunfire. His want is for blood to flow and for skulls to be added to his throne. Khorne is the most powerful of the 4 gods, as is evidenced by the very universe he inhabits. As well, his demons are the most common you will see from the Warhammer universe, so it's understandable why someone like him is front and center.
Don't stare into the abyss, Anne. After all, it stares back.
Nurgle is the oldest god among the 4, being the very concept of the inevitable end of all life, as those who die will eventually reach the rotting gardens of Nurgle. However, for being of death, plague, and some of the most depressing concepts for our reality, Nurgle's followers and daemons sing and dance happily, as the grandfather's gifts are not to be feared. Death is a natural part of life, and to accept it is to understand one's place in the great cycle. Though you shouldn't let that fool you. Nurgle will do anything to speed up your demise, as he is the Lord of Flies and Plague. He will happily create more disturbing and virulent plagues to speed along the process of death. The grandfather loves his servants, but his love may not be the kind you seek.
You crit fail Tzeentch's curse.
With war and death comes innovation, change, and knowledge to start or prevent such things from ever happening again. Tzeentch is the god of magic, change, fate, and deceit. Their realm is an endlessly changing dimension, with one massive tower guarded by a never-ending maze. Tzeentch is the most deceptive of the gods, tricking mortals into their service by playing on their needs for information or knowledge. He will happily lure a desperate soul along the path of innovation and knowledge, only to pull the rug out from under them at the very end, as it was always their fate to be his puppet. However, the trick has become well known, meaning that others can resist it and even overcome it, which leads to a change of plans that inevitably come to trick more people. But the one truth always remains. Even for Tzeentch, none can escape fate.
Whoa! Whoa! Oh, shipping time!
The youngest of the four gods is the Prince of Pleasure, she who thirsts, the god of hedonism and excess, Slaanesh. Slaanesh's realm is not the biggest or strongest of the four realms, but it is clearly the most dangerous as to what it represents. Pleasure can be found in all things, whether it be the satisfaction with the work you have done, striving to the perfection in your field, or creating the most perfect thing. Slaanesh will encourage you to seek the ultimate end of your desires. Slaanesh will encourage you to improve your methods, but their encouragement will lead you down darker and darker paths, as the need to perfect your craft will overshadow all sense and sanity. The danger of Slaanesh's power is not from the god itself, but from the unpredictability and ceaseless craving of those who fall into their worship.
I've been staring at this all day, I still don't get it.
There are times where the gods will work together with an undivided purpose, but that usually quickly falls apart as soon as the goal is achieved. This is known as Chaos Undivided, and is considered a separate category of chaos. The four gods are constantly warring and fighting for dominance over both the warp and reality itself. The never-ending great game drags in all, whether they know it or not, and the endless stalemate will never end. When one of the gods gets too powerful, their rival and the others will bring them crashing down again. The great game will never end, and the gods will play this game till the universe dies out. Let's get into the army. Now, something to know about your demons. There are 5 categories that exist, one for each god with their own unique playstyle and stats. So we won't deep dive into their units, but talk about how each god's demons play. So, let's start it off right. Daemons are a strange army. Being a mix of 5 varied playstyles can be a bit overwhelming to newer players, but their army ability helps keep you focused on point with the goal of this army. Your army ability is Shadows of Chaos, and bear with me as I explain it to you. Shadows of Chaos is an ability that is an area of effect on the board. Starting from your deployment zone, the shadow grows with how many objectives you control. If you control half the objectives in No Man's Land, the shadow encompasses the entirety of that section. If you control the objective in your opponent's deployment zone, then the shadow encompasses the entire board. If your units are in the shadow, you get +1 to your leadership and regenerate D3 models or wounds for each unit inside it. And if your opponent's units are inside it, they take a -1 to leadership, and if they fail any battle shock checks, they take D3 mortal wounds. This means Daemons want to control the board as much as possible. As if your units can control the board, you will be a never-ending attrition force that can outlast your opponent.
Oh my god, he's so goddamn cool!
Khorne's units are all about hitting as hard as possible. His demons are all about slamming into your opponent's units and chopping them down as fast as possible. All of your weapons hit for massive points of damage, easily able to kill a Marine with one swing. Of course, your units like to prey on the weak, and if an enemy unit is already hurt before your Khorne unit starts swinging, they get bonuses against that enemy to hurt them even more. However, the massive weakness of Khorne is that although you hit really hard, you can't take a hit. Unless it's your massive Bloodthirster or Bloodcrusher units, Khorne demons are pretty easy to chop down and keep at arm's length with shooting armies.
Bring out Jidin!
Nurgle units are slow and don't hit with the same ferocity as Khorne, but the difference is that your units are tough. Nurgle demons are an army that wants to play a war of attrition with your opponent, as your units are tough and numerous. In melee, their poisoned blades will drag down even some of the most stubborn and tough enemies. However, as I said, this group of Daemons is slow and can easily be outpaced. board control with these guys is really hard. But if they plant themselves on an objective, it will be extremely hard to pull them off. But again, good luck getting there.
Are you sure about that?
Tzeentch is an army of fragile ranged spellcasters. Daemons of Tzeentch are allergic to melee combat, with many of them falling to pieces if an enemy unit drags them into it. However, when it comes to psychic and ranged warfare, Daemons of Tzeentch thrive. Their units love to be tricky, hiding in different places and bombarding their enemies with magic spells or dissipating some of the worst damage with their strong ritual defenses. However, the downside again is that Tzeentch units are fragile and will get squished if enemy units close the distance between them.
It's like a visceral reaction of discontent coming from this area. This area is not good either. I hate this, but I'm mainly worried about this.
Like Khorne, Slaanesh wants to get into melee combat. However, unlike Khorne, Slaanesh's demons lack the overall power of Khorne's demons. They make up for it with their precision and speed. Daemons of Slaanesh want to exploit holes in your opponent's army and quickly charge into their flanks, targeting and destroying vulnerable units quickly, then pulling out as fast as possible to regroup and do it again. Daemons of Slaanesh hit fast and hard, but they are the most frail of all the demons, being unable to play a war of attrition, and will quickly be destroyed by anti-infantry weapons. Even their greater demons struggle to tough it out, as they are the most fragile of their greater demon cousins.
I'll take your entire stock!
The Undivided Demons are made up of Demon Princes, the Soul Grinder, and Be'lakor. Demon Princes and the Soul Grinder have to choose a god to serve, which gives them different stats, abilities, and weapons. But Be'lakor is the ultimate monster of demons, as he is a walking, talking aura for the Shadows of Chaos ability. Yes, wherever Be'lakor is on the board is considered a bubble for your army ability. This means you should keep fellow demons around him for his bubble of shadows and buffs he can hand out. But now we have to ask, why are demons designed like this?
We've got to have money.
Demons of Chaos, as I said, are not a beginner-friendly army. The different gods have glaring and obvious weaknesses, and it can be overwhelming for you for your first army. But the beauty of this army is that although the individual gods are weak on their own, together they are strong. Each army fills in the gaps and weaknesses of the other. Where Nurgle lacks the speed to control the board, Slaanesh can easily cover that ground and keep enemy ranged units off your tougher units. Khorne's advance can be covered by the demonic arcane artillery of Tzeentch, so that your close range units can squish or clean up whatever Tzeentch didn't kill. Take all 4 types of demons and lead them with Be'lakor to cover all your bases. Demons may be a hard army to learn and get right, and getting used to the fact that you don't get an armor save can be hard to wrap your head around. But once you do, demons can be one of the toughest armies to overcome and counteract in the game. And that's the Daemons of Chaos, an army that takes a lot to learn and can be overwhelming as an army. But once you do learn it and figure out how to build your army to fill in the weaknesses of each god, it can be an extremely rewarding army to play. Just remember that your army wants to control the board as much as possible, and that you should build your army to fill in the gaps of the other demons. But if you want to challenge yourself, try playing a mono-god army. Next time we meet, we will be talking about the infestation underneath your floorboards, and the reason why Greg now has a third arm. The Gene Stealer Cults. See you next time, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon for notifications, and consider joining the Patreon. You get to watch videos early, and you get to basically support me and make sure that I can put food on the table. I appreciate you guys very much. Have a good day.